Do you ever feel like Charlie Brown listening to your partner? Wah, 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 wah. I'm Robert Beagle with Romance Alive. In the movie Click, Adam Sandler was given a remote control. And the unique thing about his remote control is it allowed him to control life. You know, the dog started barking loudly, so he reached up and click, 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 turned down the volume. He saw someone he'd like to gawk at and pressed the pause button so he could stare while everyone else was paused. And his wife, well, she began to complain to him about something. Evidently, they'd had the conversation before, and he hit fast forward right through that conversation. Ever wanted such a remote control? Well, this might not really be a good idea. A friend of mine, I'm going to call him Irvin, was speaking to me about relationships and romance. Irvin told me his wife complained he wasn't as romantic as he used to be. He'd romance her, and she'd let him know it wasn't very romantic. I asked Irvin if there was anything she mentioned as to why he wasn't romantic. Well, maybe he pushed the mute button and didn't listen. But he told me no, his wife complained he wasn't using certain words. Well, I was kind of curious about this, so I asked him what words had gone missing. He said certain words in their native tongue that roughly translated into terms of endearment like honey or sweetheart. Well, I was surprised. Evidently, he had turned down the volume because she was clearly and concisely telling Irwin her romantic preference grouping, which happened to be words. And she actually told him the words she wanted to hear. Well, he started up again, complaining and saying, I'm not sure what she means saying I'm not romantic. She just doesn't appreciate all I do for her. Well, he again had turned down the volume, and after several attempts to get his attention, I held up my hands, in the universal timeout sign, and I said, Irvin, your wife is telling you exactly how she wants you to romance her. Again, I'm not sure my communication got through to him because he just continued to complain. To him, his wife and evidently I sounded like Charlie Brown's teacher, the old wah, 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 wah. Evidently, that volume control that his remote had been used too many times. Turning down the volume or hitting the figurative mute button when your partner is talking, that's not a good idea. So before you stop listening and tuning out, here are a few things I'd like to ask you to consider. First of all, words are probably important to your partner, especially if they use them a lot. Number two, if they do talk a lot, it could mean they don't think you value what they say. Evidently, you've communicated to them in your lack of response or possibly your wandering focus that they and what they say are just not important to you. At least that's what you're communicating. And number three, when you listen, you actually will find buried in the flow of words clues into what's important to them and how they prefer to be romanced. You see, Irvin was so busy trying to romance his partner his way, he missed the huge hints she gave him about how she wanted to be romanced. Instead of thinking your partner is a stream of, this wah, 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 wah of words, stay engaged in the conversation. Let go of that remote and listen. I'd like to invite you to subscribe to my YouTube channel here. Here you'll find more videos about relationships and romancing your partner and how to become a better romantic. One of the great ways of romancing your partner is by creating romantic moments. I've got a section here with a series of videos containing romantic moment ideas. You'll find them under the Moments for Romance section. Now, these are ideas that you can use just as I give them to you, or maybe modify them for your partner. There's also a series of videos I call romantic failures. These are unflattering glimpses into romantic moments that just plain flopped. I'm continually adding to these videos, and so come back and you'll find more ideas and more videos about romance and about romantic moments. I'm Robert Beagle with Romance Alive. I want to help you keep your relationship exceptional and help you keep your romance alive.